Well, good experience to go. Thought we had rallied from the loss in the conference tournament final to get them excited to play again, and obviously a quality opponent. And a little about George Mason was the 6'5" UConn transfer was special. I really, honestly, in my whole career, I've never played a kid with that size and that ability. She ended up setting the single season NCAA rebounding record. So we had to game plan, I guess a little differently that we hadn't had to do the entire season. And she still got us pretty good. They had a guard that was special, a freshman. But a bad start for us, got down 10-0 right off the bat, called timeout, regrouped, and then ended up taking the lead with about a minute and a half to go in that third quarter and felt good about where we were. So we had two, and then we didn't play very well at the end of the third and to start the fourth. So we had those two stretches to start the game and then end of the third to start the fourth that were just disappointing and just couldn't get over that hump when they got the lead up to 7 or 9 there to start the fourth. We battled, but just couldn't get back over the hump. But I'm proud of them, proud of the effort. We battled all the way through, which we thought our kids would, and disappointed obviously that it ended, but proud of the season.
Coach, the second straight 25-win season and advanced the WNT for the program's 26th postseason appearance. Obviously, some games maybe on the schedule that you would like to have gone a different way, but talk a little bit about the season as a whole. What you thought was a success, other things that maybe that you would like to see go differently.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I've said this a little bit before, but now that it's officially over, if somebody would have given me 25-7 to finish the year and 16-2 in our league before the season started, I would have taken that and felt really good about what we accomplished. We would love to have the Montana trip back. I know that a little bit looking back at those games and two winnable games and obviously one in overtime that we lost. We would love to have those back. And then through the conference schedule, obviously we got everybody but Lamar. That home game here is the one that sticks out as the most disappointing. When, again, we just didn't start very well and dug ourselves that huge hole. And that hurt, and that was hard to recover from that one. But really, again, we did. We went back on the road and got Abilene and then Sam after that. So our kids just really bounced back. That's what you love to see. We always say character gets revealed a little bit after a loss, and our kids always bounce back. Got the double bye, got to that conference tournament final again, just came up a little short in that one. So I still think we're taking steps. Obviously, we lose two really good seniors, but have the core back. So you got to feel good about what the future holds. So really excited about it. Again, it's always disappointing because we lost our last two games and we only lost 7 all year. And so that's the hard part sitting here on a Monday after a loss. But as time goes on and we reflect, we'll be pretty proud of our group.
We talked about some of the things we didn't accomplish what you wanted, but what are some strides that you feel like the team did make, some areas that maybe surprised you from where you thought your team was at the beginning of the season, stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I think we just saw the progression, even thinking back to the Montana trip and before that, even all the way back to K-State when we weren't very good either, just how far we've come as a basketball team. And you got all the things you overcome, and a lot of it becomes individual based on kids that maybe took some steps this year that you're excited about, for the next year and to see where they can kind of lead our program and what will be year 4 for us. So, I don't know that there was anything specific other than what we've just kind of already talked about is just kind of, we just kept rolling a little bit, got on the win streak, double digits again for whatever I guess was the third year in a row where we won 10 or more games in a row, and that's hard to do. And to go 16-2 in your league is really hard to do. And as we've talked about, winning 25 games just tells you, throughout the 3-4 month season we were pretty good. And so I think you just build off of that. Another postseason appearance, which is what we want to be about in this program. Obviously, the NCAA tournament's the goal, and we've got to find a way to get that done. But if we're playing in the postseason, we've had a pretty good year, and that's what we want to be about.
Assuming getting in those big time games and those championship games and actually being able to complete that and win that game, aside from that, the obvious, what are some of the next steps and strides you'd like to see the program take moving on into the next season?
That's what it is, I guess, is just continue to win the games you're supposed to win and then find ways, to win those games, even the ones maybe you're supposed to win in the tournament and things like that. But just keep preparing, keep growing, keep maturing, keep understanding the game, working on our IQ and skill set. And, if we make each kid a little bit better, then we're taking the steps we're supposed to between now and next year. But we'll just keep working at it, keep recruiting hard, keep making the kids we got in the program better. And if you do that, then you're on your way.
And lastly, what do you expect the team's – how's this team going to look different next year from the way it looks right now?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it'll look somewhat the same. Obviously, we're going to take out those two kids that were pretty special and had really good years for us. So you're just now you got to have kids step up, that's the case every year when you graduate players. Outside of that, I think the look looks the same. The way we play, we'll as coaches go back to the drawing board though and refine a few things and figure out how we put next year's team in the best place to have success. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. And then, like I said, between now and then, it's skill work and more individual based than it is team until we get to the summer and get the full team here in July. And then we'll get excited about that and get the new kids with the returners and see what we've got. But a lot of work to do between now and then. Get some time off, which will be nice, I know, for the players. It's a long year. It's a grind. And then be excited about next year.
Cool. Well, thank you for taking the time today, Coach. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, I think it was a marked difference from where we were this time last year. We could definitely tell a difference in our effort, our concentrated effort, and that's the big thing, was really, really good. And I think it was that way the whole way. I mean, we had a very much of a business-like attitude going on there on our way up there. And just them watching the athletes get off the bus, watching the athletes get out of the vehicles and head to the venue and prepare themselves for competition was really, really good. And I couldn't have been happier with the effort over the weekend. It was outstanding. So that's a great way to start our outdoor season.
Do you feel like that improved effort and kind of concentration was maybe a result, some carryover from some of the positive results that they saw at the Southland Indoors a couple of weeks back?
They do, and also they did, absolutely, and that's a confidence thing. And I think those who did very well there kind of were able to say to themselves, okay, this is where I am, this is where my coaches need me to be, and this is what I need to do to be successful. And we've got some athletes who are healthier now, who are back competing and training, and that's wonderful to see. And that just makes everybody else around them happy, and excited that to see somebody who, like a Carrie Gleason or a Peyton Davis, or guys like that who may have been banged up in the past and are back running. It was great to see Peyton Davis out again after missing the indoor meet with a hamstring injury. So that's positive for everybody.
Obviously, outdoor season has a little bit of differences between the indoor season. What are some things that you might be excited about, as we start this outdoor season from your team's perspective? Maybe some athletes who didn't compete as much in the indoor season or doing different events in the outdoor. Just some of the things you're excited about.
Well, I think the big thing is we had to, and as I explained this to you before, we had to sit down and have a very pointed conversation about some things that we needed to improve upon. And since the indoor meet, since that meeting, we have been very focused. We have been very just concentrated in every effort and just trying to be the very best we can be every moment of every day. And that's going to be a Herculean effort, but I think that it's going to pay off down the road. So, when I go to the meet, and as an example, seeing a guy like Teddy Hawkins, running the anchor leg of the 400, and he's competing like he's at a national championship meet. And to see that was really exciting, to see a young lady like LaShawn Davis, who, she's running really hard at the last 15 meters of the 800, trying to catch the girls in front of her while everybody else is dying. She's going into a different gear, and that's what we want to see. Kaylee Bazell had some terrible wind issues. There were terrible wind issues for the women's vault, and Kaylee Bazell is fighting through it, even though she's got a crosswind she's dealing with. And she didn't, it wasn't her best performance, but she battled, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for fighters. We're looking for killers, so to speak. And we saw a lot of that this weekend. So that was a lot of fun. And
then talk a little bit about the meets this weekend. Obviously, you have the bulk of the team going to the UTSA Invitational in San Antonio, but then you have the distance runners going over to the Invitational in Rice in Houston. So talk a little bit about both those meets and kind of what those opportunities represent for the team.
Yeah, I mean, the Rice Bayou Classic, Jim Bevan at Rice and his staff and the men's staff with John Warren, they do a wonderful job of that meet. It's a much better meet for the distance runners because they do it on a Friday evening. They kind of like they do what we do at our home meet. The distance and middle distance races are in the evening. The weather's usually pretty good this time of year, so that's always been on our schedule. So it's a great opportunity for our middle distance and distance athletes to perhaps hit a qualifying mark, for a Mount SAC, which comes later down the road, or the NCAA first rounds. And so for many of them, even though they're pretty tired from their training, hopefully will be fresh enough to compete well and to get some good times in. And then the UTSA meet, you go down to San Antonio and it's usually warm, which helps the sprinters and jumpers and throwers, and so that sets up well for them in a very good facility with. It's going to be some outstanding competition. We'll have some Big 12 schools there, some SEC schools, some really quality mid-majors schools will be there. So we will be in the thick of a very hot competition this weekend.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it played out really well for us. We had a good, good plan going in. We executed well. I thought there were times where we still didn't play very well, but we maintained, our attitude and composure, and we got rewarded for that. Good win. New Orleans is a good solid team, and so, it shouldn't have felt more like a sigh of relief, but sometimes that's just the way it does. But we took it and had some good energy, and the girls were, very excited and proud, and that was the point that I made to them was, remember what this feels like and be proud for how well you competed and connect the dots here, and let's go do it again. And so we tried to use that energy yesterday. I think we did for 80% of the match, and won the doubles pretty easily and put those 3 points on the board just like we've done a bunch of times. And then we just faltered coming down the stretch again, and there are reasons for that, and they just, it is what it is. So overall, positive weekend for us. We have to use that and get right back to work this weekend. But, we've struggled with this all season, maybe even going back into the spring, and that's, putting one good result on top of one good result or one good rep, the next good rep, and making some progress there instead of the old, one step forward, one step back, and so we'll continue to work on that. It's a growth process, and we're gonna stay really motivated and really fixed to that goal, and we're going to compete and fight hard down the stretch. I mean, you didn't see anybody give up yesterday, and that hadn't been a problem. So that means our kids are good kids fighting hard with good character. We just got to clean up some of those little things and, expect the next one to go our way again.
Biggest takeaway, you saw some good stuff from Gabby, especially on that top line. I mean, after struggling earlier in the year, I mean, she puts together probably the two best singles matches. What kind of changed in her play, over this weekend that allowed her to kind of break through and just be that top line player that you really want her to be here?
Sure. I don't really think a lot changed. I think we're just learning how to avoid those stretches where just things don't go your way, or you get a little impatient and hit a ball you shouldn't, or making an error into the net that you shouldn't, and those things just kind of keep popping up, and it's up to her to problem solve in the moment, and she did a good job of that. You miss one ball into the net, no big deal. Play a good solid point the next point, and just staying committed to that process, and then expecting it to work out in your favor. So. She's done a good job of that. She really has. I don't think that we've had that wrong. It's just when you don't get a win and you don't get the reward for that, it's tough to think that you're doing it as well as you are. And so just trying to keep her engaged to that and staying committed. And so on a personal note for her, that was a good reward for the discipline there and the continued progress. So, hopefully she takes that and does that again some more for us.
Sean's been really strong, not Sean, excuse me, but Kaya had been really strong. She hadn't lost a Southland match until, yesterday, unfortunately. What was kind of the difference in hers? She's been kind of just really one of the big pillars for y'all this year. What changed in her game yesterday that, just allowed just a little bit of a slide there?
Yeah, I think that's that protect mode. For her, she admitted that she let the first set just kind of slip away. She'd been dangerously close to that in a few previous matches. And got down in the first set pretty bad against Nichols and roared back and won it in a tiebreaker. Got down love 3 maybe against McNeese and then won 6 straight games. And those are good things, but they're also, and they keep occurring, you almost feel like they can't keep going your way. And so I think that she was on the edge there yesterday, and for whatever reason, and credit to the other girl for making balls and fighting. I think sometimes you forget to maybe acknowledge your opponent does a good job as well when you feel like you could have, should have won. But the girl fought hard, and we had a chance there, up down 0-3 in the third set. Came back to 4-3, was up 5-4, and then just didn't get across the finish line, and unfortunately that would have been a 4th point. But we had 4 people out there fighting that could have made 4 points, and so Kaya expects better of herself. We don't need to revisit that one and worry about it, and she's done a good job, and we'll just have to refocus and move forward and expect it to fall our way the next time.
And then this weekend, league leading Northwestern State here on Saturday before coming back home for a non-conference on Sunday. Just talk about the challenges. Northwestern State top to bottom, they're obviously a really good team. So what, is it just kind of a matter of playing your game and just remembering what happened on what on this Saturday would be last Saturday, just remembering that win and just kind of using that to fuel yourselves?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Last time we went over there 2 years ago, we came up with a big 4-3 win. So I don't think we'll have any trouble getting engaged and being motivated to play. A lot of times in this league, it's just about matchups and the style of play. And so I think stylistically, we're going to enjoy the way they play a little bit more. They'll enjoy the way we play. We want to get out there and hit the ball. And you don't always see that. That gives us some issue. That probably more than anything led to yesterday's result. But we've been training not to let that happen. We've been doing those drills, and you just have to be able to execute in the moment. So I think, I worry less about when the matchup is good for us. I worry less about how we're going to be able to execute and more about just, do we give ourselves a chance? Whereas yesterday we gave ourselves a chance, but we just didn't execute, and the matchup wasn't. We just don't like playing those extra long points and stylistically some of those loopy balls with no pace. But that's what a matchup is. You got to figure out how to use what you have on that day to get a win, and so that's going to be our challenge on Saturday. And I think that it'll be a fun one, and we'll just go over there and take our shot and see what happens.
Okay. And Sunday against Louisiana Tech, what do they bring here? It's kind of just break things up with another non-conference.
Yeah, basically that the weekend is a travel partner weekend, and so if we don't schedule somebody else there, then we just play the one on Saturday, and some coaches take that and they take the rest, but our goal is always the same every year, to win 3 matches in April at the conference tournament, and so I just feel like we need to be in that pattern of playing. So a good non-conference opponent, they're going to come in here, they're going to want to win. They'll challenge us at every spot up and down the lineup, and hopefully we're ready for that. And it's a good Saturday, Sunday weekend, just like we come to expect. And so we're looking forward to getting back out there. That's the beautiful part about tennis. You win one on a day, and you try to go out there and duplicate that result. You lose one, and you get to get right back out there and make up for it and try to close the weekend on a good note. So that'll be our task again. If we went on Saturday, we're going to try to duplicate that on Sunday. If we don't get it done Saturday, we get to get right back out there against another good team and see if we can make up for it.
It's just a situation where we have some guys who are still trying to, fulfill the role that really wasn't their role at the beginning of the year. With all the injuries, you have a situation where you have guys who are forced into pitching on Friday nights who you really thought you could kind of bring on, kind of slowly and kind of, indoctrinate them into how to pitch at the Division I level. But now they're thrown out there pretty much in the middle of a forest fire, and they got to figure out a way out. With anything, they're going to have bumps, bruises, and they're going to get burned a little bit. But I think if we can just keep our head, and on the other side of this, these guys are going to be better for it.
Sure. You talk about a guy like Trevor too. He goes out and pitches, as well as anybody has this year for yesterday. But just a one-run game really until the ninth inning. And offensively, how did you kind of preach? Hey, there's no need to get tight. Just keep doing what you're doing. And the approach is still going to work. Is that kind of what you preach there in a close game like that here?
Yeah, that's what we did. We just told our offense just to keep after it. The guy did a good job of mixing it up, keeping a soft balance. But I still think there were some opportunities that we had in there. We kind of let them go by the wayside. We couldn't get anything started early in the inning. We were starting everything with 1 out, 2 outs, and then that's hard to kind of sustain. When they're making good plays, and they made some good defensive plays. They made the pitches when they needed to make them, and we just didn't capitalize when we needed to, which led to a tighter spot there at the end. I thought we had what we wanted there at the end with our closer out on the mound, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Sure. And then this week you have 2 midweeks here, and then you resume Southland and play against Abilene, and that's a team who played real well against New Orleans. So you talk about the challenges, going out there. Last time you went out there, sweep all the way. But now I think you mentioned this before the season started too. There's no sure things anymore. Just with the league being the way it is. Just talk about what they bring to the table here as they're kind of trying to put themselves in contention their first year available to make some postseason noise.
Well, like you said, like we talked about earlier in the year, there's nowhere where you go into any town or any program and think, okay, those are three easy wins. Our conference is very competitive top to bottom, and on any given weekend you can win 2, and any given weekend you can get beat 3. That's just kind of how it is. What we've got to do is we've got to understand that Abilene has improved. Now they're able to recruit to a postseason that makes them a little bit more dangerous. Kids have a little more fervor going into the season, those kinds of things. And so they will be a different team. They will be a different team, and hopefully that what we can do is we can do the things that we need to do that we're successful at and get out of there with some wins.
As far as the lineup 1 through 9 goes, do you see that being a little more just a little more solid now than it was earlier in the year, now that people's kind of started stepping up, and Jake especially there in 2-hole and playing third base, he's established himself as a pretty good infield here. So do you think that consistency in the lineup is going to help as we kind of move on here? I
think that's a big thing is try to find some consistency in the lineup. Having some guys who, Josh Evans has gotten off to a slow start, but he's showing signs of life. That's a guy that we really counted on being 3-4 in our lineup. And if we can insert him in between Martin and Black, I think we've got, a much better lineup. But being consistent with what we put out there 1 through 9, we'd like to do that, but because of moves and needing pinch runners and positions and those kinds of things, that's what we'll start out with, but that's not always how we're going to end the game. So, all of our players who are on the roster are going to have to be ready to come off the bench and make some kind of contribution at any moment during a conference series.
Sure. Everybody's staying positive and stuff, obviously, during this. No troubles there, I would assume. Everybody's kind of keeping their head up, and who's kind of been, emerging as leaders up, and the seniors kind of saying, "Hey, we got this. Everything's going to be good. Just got to keep plugging away."
Yeah, well, I think that who it falls on. I think our seniors, to remain positive. I think that's their biggest thing is they have to make sure that this is their team. And the team's going to go in the direction that they push, and hopefully they're pushing in a positive direction. For the most part, I haven't seen a whole bunch of negativity. I see some frustration. I do see that, and that's to be expected. But for the most part, I think we're kind of keeping that frustration at bay. I think we're keeping the negativity at bay. I asked the guys, countless times over the last couple of days, to not do what's easy and to quit, but to do what's hard and to just, lock arms and care for one another, look out for one another, and, play for one another, basically.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
All right, man. Thank you.